Good morning from Lock 16. We are on the wall here where we had the good fortune of finding a 50 amp power connection here. So we've got power, no water and other services. But it's a beautiful morning. There's a beautiful park-like setting here, just like every lock on the Erie so far that we've been to. And we're not sure whether we're gonna head out here today or not just yet. But it's a beautiful, about high 60s degree morning here, about 7 o'clock. And there is rain forecast on and off throughout the day.
Hi, we're Mark and Mel. After raising 4 amazing daughters who are now raising our 12 grandchildren and helping people on land in the real estate business for over 30 years, we're now realizing our goal of a year-long adventure cruising America's Great Loop on our boat Paradise. This is a 6,000-mile journey through waterways that include the Atlantic and Gulf Intercoastal Waterways, Great Lakes, Canadian Heritage Canals, and inland rivers of America's Midwest cities. Join us as we navigate over 100 locks, explore cities large and small, and experience an unforgettable journey through America's Great Loop.
We've got a couple Coast Guard vessels that are heading through Lock 16 here, just past us, going eastbound. Got a young lady driving the one in the rear there. Good for her.
Good morning. It is Friday, June 14th, and we are still at the lock, so we are thinking of moving forward because there's just nothing here. We would kind of like to visit Little Falls. We've heard some good things about it. There's some areas to look at, a museum. There's more town there. This is a little tiny town up here, or down here where we are, or where we're going west. So this is a really quiet little area here, and that's why we see a lot of boats that are just flying by us through these locks, because there's no town right here. Great for the trails of bike riding, really beautiful trails. We could hear the train in the distance, but not a lot going on here, so we're thinking about moving, even though we still have to kill a few extra days before we get to Sylvan Beach to visit with family. We've still got a few more little towns that we could go explore, like there's Little Falls, and we won't be going through the lock. Is that right, Mark? We won't go through the lock today?
That's correct. The wall is just at the entry to Lock 17 before Little Falls.
Okay, so the lock is just the wall is just before the lock, so we could stay there. No power, no electricity, no water, but that's okay. It's just like anchoring or out, we'll be fine. So we are going to do that and explore that little area, then maybe go past it to a marina that's at Little Falls. So we're just inching our way up. This rendezvous with family and this plan to rendezvous at Sylvan Beach has really made us slow down. Oh, I can see some bike riders. There's the canal path here, so there's a lot of bike riders that go up and down this trail. A lot of people on long trips biking, with their backpacks. You can see it's amazing the people we've met that are on long journeys with their packs and their tents on these long cross-country trips. There's about 5 of them, 6 of them going by right now. 7. Anyway, so then there's Herkimer, New York. And let me tell you, this book that we use is really helpful along with Google searches. But we have the 100 Great Stops, which we've gone over with previous loopers and, talked to them about which they stayed at, what they thought about these stops also. So we kind of use it as a guide. And so at Little Falls, it tells some information. Also, it'll have information in here that might have changed, so you have to call and see what the current information is about the marinas or the walls and the stops, because you'll get all kinds of different feedback. And just like the looper page, everybody's got a different opinion. It doesn't mean that's right or wrong or accurate. It depends on how soon they stop there and what their specifications are. Each individual might think that it's either really bad wall, or some people will say, hey, they're right. We have some friends right you're there right now that said, no, it's actually okay, and there's a really nice boat over there, and it's a safe area. So you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt, take everybody's information, and then go up to it yourself. Have a plan A and a plan B, and that's what we've got. So Herkimer is another little stop that's between lock 18 and 19 at mile marker 86. And then you've got Ilion. Ilion is locks 18 and 19, between 18 and 19, mile marker 88. So these are just inching, just several miles apart. Then you got Utica, which is between locks 19 and 20, and mile marker 99. Then you've got Rome, New York, which is between lock 20 and 21, and mile marker 110. And then we'll finally get to Sylvan Beach. So there are, like I say, in between even those few cities that we're going to stop at, there are walls, there are places like right before the lock, and there are some different places you can stop for free. That's what we're going to try and do. So we'll try and get through the next, I guess we've got like about a week now, that we need to eat up some more time before we get to Sylvan Beach and visit family, which I cannot wait. It's going to be fun.
Well, we are off again. It's about 10 o'clock, 10:30 or so in the morning. Had a very leisurely morning there at the Lock 16 wall, and we are underway. We're going to head toward Lock 17, but we're not actually going to go through 17. We're going to stop at the wall on this side of the lock, which is available for overnight stays, and we'll be visiting the town of Little Falls from that area. It's right on the edge of the town of Little Falls. So only 7.8 miles today. Another short day. Trails like that Lombard Street in San Francisco, back and forth and back and forth.
Look at those cliffs. Oh my gosh, they're beautiful. Just beautiful. Oh, there he goes. Catch up.
Well, we're back on our bikes in the city, or the town of, I guess, city, according to the water tank there, city of Little Falls. And we are on another stretch of the Erie Canal Trail. Kind of heading east right now, back toward the Herkimer Mansion, or Herkimer Home, which is a famous landmark. General Herkimer, I understand. Mel has more info on that than I do. And look who just passed me. Here we are at the Blue Waters bird watching area. Bird watching is not my favorite thing in the world to do. But that's a big swamp-like thing out there. Well, the Palatines, or Palatines, however it's pronounced, settled here in 1710. And they're originally from southwestern Germany, known as the Lower Palatinate. And we went by here earlier, right out there, just at that line of trees. That's where the Erie Canal is. There used to be a dock there, but there is none there anymore. And it leads up to the Herkimer home right there. Let's go check it out. Quite a little setting here at the Herkimer home. Looks like there's a family graveyard over here and a big monument in the middle. Oh, check this out. A canoe or boat of some sort. The Bateau is the name of this boat. Let's go see who's buried here. The Herkimer Homestead Cemetery. The grave of General Nicholas Herkimer remained unmarked until 1847. Here's the General Nicholas Herkimer gravesite right here. Wow. And many of the rest are Herkimer family members, I understand, and quite a few others beyond that. Gotta have a cannon and some cannonballs. This was erected in 1896. There's Mel at the Herkimer Family Cemetery and all the people that have been living here for a long time. Or I shouldn't say living.
And descendants.
We're inside the museum here at the Herkimer home, getting ready to do a house tour, which could take about an hour, and is the bargain of the century at $4 for adults and $3 for seniors.
Foundation. There was an earlier, smaller wooden clapboarded structure built sometime in the 1750s, also by Nicholas Herkimer, while he built up enough wealth, enough standing and status to put forward this much larger Georgian-style mansion out on the Mohawk frontier. So the Herkimers are of the three wealthiest families in upstate New York, the others being the Johnsons and the Schuylers. Now, I always like to say that the Herkimers are in a little bit of competition with these other families, especially the Johnsons. Johnsons move out onto the Mohawk Valley, build the beautiful Johnson Hall, their particular mansion of the time out of wooden clapboard. I always like to point out Herkimer moves farther out onto the Mohawk frontier, out into the wilderness, and builds his home out of imported brick instead, just to kind of one-up the Johnsons. Of course, we're in the town of Little Falls. Little Falls is aptly named for the Little Falls right inside Roadtrip. Oh, wow.
I think that barge has the log that we were afraid of hitting.
Anyway, go ahead.
So,
I'm interrupting.
he would charge a toll to make use of this portage road. Now, I always like to point out you had basically a choice. Either you pay him his toll, he uses his men enslaved, takes you out of the river and around the portage, or you don't and you go over the falls and lose everything in the process. And this is how he made a lot of his early money. Now, the Ladies' parlor, or Maria's room. Now this is the ladies' parlor because this is an area where the lady of the household would entertain the women guests. It would have been common to separate out the sexes after a dining meal in the 18th century, and the lady of the house would be expected to take her guests over into a room like this. That more or less reflects the kind of wallpaper that we would have in this home at the time. So this house, the brickwork, the major structure, is almost all original to the 18th century. On the inside, the woodwork, only about 30% of the woodwork is original to the home. That's because of the next owners for the most part. They're going to be renovating and changing the layout of this house, and they actually converted it from a Georgian-style mansion into a Greek Revival-style mansion. 1,000 acres. So this is a fully functioning plantation. I like to even call it a southern-style plantation.
This is the Erie Canal's version of Lombard Street in San Francisco. If you're walking, you can take the stairs in a straight line, but here on the bikes, you've got this back and forth like 5 times you have to do. Right next to where we are docked here in Little Falls is an old Erie Canal lock, the remnants of it anyway. Lock number 36 is what it was called back then. Very interesting. Look how narrow it is. That's got to be no more than 20, 25 feet wide. And now we are right over here on the Mohawk River, and the new lock, or the current lock, is around the corner over here, and we're going to be walking over it here on our bikes in a little bit. It's up there at that top of that hill. You can see the structure for the current lock, which happens to be number 17 here. Here we are at the other end of lock 36, one of the earlier, if not original, locks here on the Erie Canal. Very, very narrow. Much more narrow than the current locks. We're now on Moss Island after carrying our bikes up a long staircase and crossing over lock 17. We watched those boats in the distance in the lock being raised up. This lock came up faster than just about any other lock we've seen since we've been on the Erie. Well, we are in Little Falls. Just crossed over the Mohawk River, and now we're looking upstream. Very cool. Right there, probably right where those cars are. I run in there and
Right as you come across the stream and the Erie Canal, there's these old bricks, and there's UPS, there's a place to get coffee and pizza. But check out the flowers and the lights and the greenery next to the old brick. It's just beautiful. It's the Little Falls Antique Center. We have a showroom over there. We have a park right there. Tons of birds everywhere. It's just beautiful. Super cool seeing them make cafes and things out of these, what used to be probably either big apartment buildings or warehouses or factories. I love it. I'll have to find out what that was. Now it says 410 Stone Mill. This could have been a mill. It is the Lodestone Mill. Look, that's the address, 410 Stone Mill, 8 Sleep Shop, Old Falls, New York. So cool to repurpose these old mills and factories.
Well, we finally found the falls in Little Falls. There's the entry to Lock 17 on the Erie Canal that we'll be going through tomorrow. It's the guillotine style door. The door just goes straight up rather than gates that swing open. Should be interesting.